Hello there for humans and welcome to this video, and today we're going to go through the Blitz post article where they state all the new tanks that are going to come up in this year. So you can read this article itself, but I just want to make a video about it because it's easy and because I want to tell you a little bit more about these vehicles, because obviously they're already in World of Tanks PC and I play that game as well, and so I can pretty much already tell you in a way how they're going to be. The first tank that's going to come is the Kanonenjagdpanzer 105. It's a tier 8 German premium tank destroyer. It says here it's a profile similar to the E25 and similar camera rating. Yes, it does. It's basically an E25 at tier 8 with a 105mm gun. It's not going to be too interesting though, but let's check it actually out on tanks.gg. This is the tank here in World of Tanks PC. As you can see, it has 2000 DPM, which is not really that good for a tier 8 tank destroyer. It's a 105mm gun. It has pretty good penetration here. It has 390 alpha damage in World Tanks PC, but that's not going to be the case in Blitz. It's either going to have 310 or 350, depending on how Wargaming is going to feel, but probably it's going to be 350. Because in World Tanks PC, all 105mm guns have 390, except the STB, which has 360, and the Leopard, which has like 420, so it doesn't make sense. But yeah, you can see that it has very good penetration right here on this gun. And I expect something similar for Blitz as well, and very, very good dispersion here. So, low DPM, great accuracy, good penetration, and, well, no armor at all. Like an E25, basically, but it has better alpha damage and worse DPM. That's pretty much what to be expected from that vehicle. Because you can't... I mean, I don't think they're going to give it armor, and I don't think they're going to give it massive amounts of DPM, but that's sort of the range that we're getting here. Is it worth it? No. Certainly not. It's not worth it in PC, and it's probably not going to be worth it in Blitz, because the Jagdpanther is just better. Then the next one on the list is the Object 260. It's a tier 10 Russian heavy tank in World Tanks PC. It's a reward vehicle, and it has a 120mm gun, so 122mm. So it's most likely to have 420 alpha, which is pretty correct. What is it? It has a pretty hood armor profile, as you can see right here. So it is going to steal from the rich and give to the poor. No, never mind. It's going to get to the poor. It's gonna get to the rich, and all the poor are gonna get absolutely fucked by it because they can't afford it. Yeah, that's how this tank works basically. So let's check it out in World Tanks PC, where it is a campaign reward vehicle. As you can see here, Object 260. It's basically a better IS-7. The IS-7 in World Tanks PC did get buffed, but it's still a better IS-7. It has solid deep. It's sort of like a WZ 111.5A gun that way. It has pretty solid dispersion. I'll expect something like that for Blitz as well. It is very mobile, like the IS-7 as well, but it's even faster, and it also has the pike nose hull at the front, which you can see right here, unangled on a straight line. You have 320mm of penetration, so you can't go through there at all, and it's all going to bounce anyway. Lower plate is obviously a weak spot, 250mm, so mediums... If medium shoots down on it, they're not going to pen it, but if you have a flat ground, then you get it. Also, if you angle the tank, your sides become weak, because that's the point of the pike nose. You always want to have this tank frontal. That's how you want to play this vehicle. You always want to stay in front of your enemies, because as soon as you angle, you expose all this plate down here, and you can't really side scrape because this plate extends to here as well. That's basically going to be a better IS-7. Basically, that's what this tank is, and I expect it to just be a crate tank, because that's how Wargaming does it these days, and yeah, well, that's a shame. Then the next tank on the list is the Poodle, which is basically a VK3002M in Polish, so I'm not going to really talk about it. It doesn't really matter. Whatever. And then we have the Object 907. It is a Clan Wars reward vehicle in World of Tanks PC, but in Blitz it's probably going to be another crate tank, because I don't think that Blitz actually cares about making good game modes anymore. You know, they're only making trash at this point that gives them money, instead of making amazing events like the Duck event, for example, if anyone remembers that. So they should invest their time in that instead of making more money, but probably I would expect this tank to be a crate tank as well, or even they're gonna drag it out into some kind of weird Easter event or whatever, I don't know. But I would definitely expect all of these tanks to be in crates, because that's how Wargaming does it these days. Or maybe the Poodle or one of the lower ones they're going to be an event tank, but I expect the Object 260 and the 907 both to be crate vehicles, or they're just going to be some kind of personal campaign with 20 super hard missions. I don't know. But let's check out the Object 907 in World Tanks PC. The 907 right here, and as you can see, it is 3000 DPM, 320 damage. Obviously, the penetration is going to go down, the damage is going to get down to 310, but I would expect similar DPM, similar accuracy. As you can see, the 260 actually has better accuracy than the 907, but, well, that's the 260. The 907 is kind of outdated in this game, so I definitely expect the vehicle to be a lot stronger in Blitz compared to the other tanks than it is in World Tanks PC, because obviously in Blitz it's a lot newer, and it hasn't been power crept that much. And the thing about this tank is you have pretty decent front armor, but obviously it's not the thickest, it's only 110 millimeters. So pretty much most tier 10s are just going to go straight through it, like with the T22's upper plate as well. And the side armor is very strong as well. However, you have this like turret basket or whatever it is, which is going to limit you a bit, but you can still side-scope it pretty well because it has the boat-shaped hull, it has spaced armor all around the place. It has pretty weak cupolas on top. You can penetrate the turret, as you can see. Like basically, it's a premium Object 140. The T22 is more like a premium T62A, and this thing is going to be more like a premium Object 140. I would expect it to be, probably. Yeah, it's just basically, if you have a T22, you don't have any need for this vehicle at all. And if it is a clan reward vehicle or something like that, what's the point? I mean, sure, but whatever. It's not that interesting as a new vehicle. I would rather like to see more interesting vehicle, like for example the UDES, the Swedish one and stuff like that. That would be very interesting, but you know, it's Wargaming, Russian tanks. That's what they do. And then the number 5 is the 50TP prototype, which is a T9 Polish heavy tank in Blitz, and I can't really tell you a lot about this one, because in World Tanks PC it's a tier 8, so you can't really compare that at all. But as of now, it's very OP in testing, and we'll see what this tank eventually becomes. It's probably going to be a premium or something like that. Crates probably, like, in 95% of cases, all these tanks will eventually either be crate tanks or event tanks. That's how I would expect it. Because that's how Wargaming does it nowadays. All the new tanks that come out are in crates. Or in snow globes. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect anything fancy there. Even in 2021, I don't think Wargaming is going to take a step back and actually be better. So I'm not going to take a look into this in World Tanks PC because it's in testing in Blitz. It's a T9, it's a tier 8 in World Tanks PC, so there's not really a good comparison there, but it is a decent vehicle either way in World Tanks PC, and I would expect this thing to be nerfed again, like in Blitz. Then the next one, number 6, is the M41D, which is just a, well, M4190 Bulldog in Chinese, and it's not really that interesting. I don't know, it's probably Lunar Event. That's what I expect. It's a tier 7, so yeah, it's just a Bulldog. It's just a Bulldog, man. Doesn't really matter. It's nothing special. It's like the M4190 at tier 7 with a tier 7 gun. That's what it is. End of the story. And then obviously we have the Czech tanks, and you probably already know the statistics of those. It's going to have a 4-shot, 310 alpha damage clip, 2 seconds into clip reload, which is almost the same as in World Tanks PC, where it has 320 alpha damage and 1.5 seconds entry clip, but for Blitz, I would have to say that the 2 seconds are more balanced, because in doing that amount of damage in 4.5 seconds, it's just a little bit too much damage output for only 7 versus 7. So I'm gonna have to step back there a little bit. Even though I would like to have it with the 1.5, but you know. One other thing that this is gonna do is gonna make the bat check completely useless and obsolete, because the TVP essentially has very, very similar mobility to it, has a better clip, and has equally shit armor. So I would expect the bat chat to be very obsolete after the TVP does come out. And I'm definitely going to go for it. I'm also going to play it, I'm gonna stream it. So if you haven't checked out my streams yet, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, then do that now if you're still here. So yeah. And before we get to the end, let's check out the other Czech tanks in WoT Tanks PC first, because you'll probably already sort of know what the stats of the Tier 10 TVP are, but you probably haven't seen the others yet. Let's start with the Skoda T50. Basically, the way it works, it's like a Skoda T50-51, but it's one shell less. It's a little bit slower. So basically, it has a Tier 10 gun, it has one shell less. The armor is similarly horrible. So it's basically just a Tier 10 at Tier 9 again. Sort of like the E50 and E50M kind of thing right there, basically. And then at Tier 8 we have the TVP VTU, which does not have an autoloader. It has a variety of guns. The top gun is a 105mm, which does 320 damage. So we can expect 300, well, it might be that it's going to have 280, like the Time 59. That is possible, even though it's 105mm. But I would assume that it is a 310 alpha damage gun. It has, I mean, it's a Tier 8, so it's pretty horrible. Tier 8 medium tanks, like generally all of them are very, very horrible, if they're not premium, and most of the premiums are horrible as well, except like when you go to Brigetta and Chimera and stuff like that. So I wouldn't really expect anything from this thing, and if you want to skip one of the vehicles from the line, and probably in WoT Tanks PC, this is the one that you should skip, because it has no armor, it has average mobility, and it doesn't have the best of guns either. So I would recommend you skipping this if they don't make it a better vehicle in Blitz, which I kind of doubt. I mean, they sure are going to try to make it more competitive, but I don't think that it will either way be a very, very good vehicle. Simply because it doesn't have an autoloader, simply because it's nothing special. It's just going to be like a less armored Pershing, sort of, basically. You don't really have any good pen either, so it's not really interesting for that matter. Also has a 100mm gun, which is probably also going to be in Blitz. I mean, this is the one that I would rather use, because it has more pen and it has better dispersion, but we'll see which guns this thing come with in Blitz and how it's going to be balanced. I don't expect it to be good, don't expect it to be good either, but let's get surprised of what it actually will be, because I don't know. There's a T-34-3, which is, well, it's a T-34 with a 100mm gun, as it already says it right here, and it's very mediocre and bad as well. Just like the Rudy, it's a T-34 at Tier 7, which means armor is non-existent. The gun is alright, and the mobility is sort of decent, so I would not expect a lot. So the Tier 7 and the Tier 8 in this line in WoT Tanks PC are very horrible, and I would expect the same to be in Blitz as well, because they're not really any interesting vehicles. At Tier 7 we have something very, very interesting, and that's the Skoda T25, which has a 3-shot autoloader. So this tech tree is really weird because it has an autoloader at Tier 6 and it has an autoloader at 9 and 10. So what Wargaming might even do is they might put a autoloader on a Tier 7 and Tier 8, but I don't think so. I think they're just going to straight copy the line over, and they're going to keep it that way. I mean, sure, they did it with like the Kronwang, where I gave them an auto-reloader instead of an autoloader, but I don't think that's that significant of a change as if you change like a standard gun to an autoloader gun. But sure, I don't know. I'm just speculating, you know. So, and I'm just telling you what they're like in WoT Tanks PC to give you like a general idea of what to expect. And yeah, so this thing is definitely a highlight of the line if it's going to be as good in Blitz as in WoT Tanks PC. So yeah. And then one more thing is a new map, but it looks like Lost Temple, but well, it's going to come out eventually. So it's a map. Like I don't really care about that too much. We'll see how it develops. Now, one other thing is the 60 TP. That's also here mentioned in this article, and for that I would like to refer to a video that I already made, Polish tanks and WoT Tanks Blitz. I'll try to put it up as well, so you can check that out as well, where I talk about the entire Polish line in Blitz. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this, and thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.